All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. This is Ava from Acquia, and I'd like to extend a sincere thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. Today, we're going to discuss 100% cloud-based workflow and just a few housekeeping items before we get started. So if you have any audio issues, please send them in the Q&A tab, and I will assist you. And if you have any questions for the presenters, please submit them in the Q&A tab as well, and we'll answer these questions at the end of the presentation. This session will be recorded and sent to you via email within the next few days. And without further delay, let's get started with 100 cloud-based workflow. Ron, handing it over to you to kick off our introductions.
Thank you very much. So yeah, pretty exciting topic today. We've got a lot of information to cover, but we'll go through it pretty quick. Basically, the whole concept here is that with if you haven't heard, we have a new product in beta right now. It's called Code Studio. We're going to be talking about that today and how Code Studio combined with our current platform and tools enables you to do all of your development in the cloud without ever having to go to your local or never have to touch the ground. So for those who don't know me, my name is Ron Northcutt. I'm product marketing. I'm a director of developer advocacy. And I'm joined by the amazing and super awesome Emily Herr. Emily, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Herr. I am a product manager here at Acquia, and I will be working with Code Studio and talking you through that today. Thanks, Ron.
Yeah, no problem. So today we're going to talk about a few things. First, we're going to kind of set the stage of what this product is about, why it's here, why it's important. Then we're going to go through and look at how for every stage in your development lifecycle, how we're able to not only help support you, but also automate some different parts of it. All of this is around trying to make the development experience faster, easier, more enjoyable, more productive. So I'm really trying to help your developers go very, very quickly and do things the way they want to. After that, we're actually going to go through kind of like a sample workflow of what a day in the life might look like using the tool, so you can see how everything works. And then any questions that we have, we'll go ahead and answer. So should be a pretty good session today. So start off as an overview. Now let's kind of take a step back here and talk about what it takes to build really awesome experiences. And it's more than just hosting, right? You've got planning and management. You've got the build test, the build stage where you in your development environment where you're trying to build things out. You have a testing, or hopefully for some of us at least, continuous integration, although I know that's something a lot of organizations aspire to but have not necessarily gotten to yet. You've got some type of QA or review phase. This is where you're going to be pulling in code and collaborating with different teams, getting your stakeholders to approve the work that's been done. And then finally deploying all of that out and then starting the process all over again. Now to do this well and to do this at scale, a lot of different organizations will use a lot of different tools. And there are a lot of solutions out there, which is fantastic. The problem is that you've got to put all of these pieces together. And that can become challenging, that can be difficult. And the work and effort that goes into building and maintaining your process can become a source of technical debt over time. And it's certainly something that's going to distract your developers from their day-to-day life. So what we're doing here with our developer tools is we're eliminating the silos that we have and pulling things together. And what you'll notice that we've simplified here is that through a partnership with GitLab, which is actually what's powering Code Studio, by integrating that into our platform, we're actually able to tie these things together for you so that you can spend more time doing the work that you need to do and less time building and maintaining the tools to do what you're trying to do. So right now, we are the only end-to-end web platform for Drupal. This enables you to move very, very quickly, get things done fast, get things tested, get them deployed. Some of the tools that we have in here for like error detection, code linting, and automated testing is going to eliminate a lot of risk so that you'll find out about problems before you even get to the QA stage. And overall, this whole process leads us to a place where we have much higher code quality. And code quality is an important piece of keeping technical debt low and keeping your entire process more sustainable and creating what we call a virtuous cycle, where the more work you do, the more efficient and the more productive your team becomes over time. With the right tool set, that is entirely possible. With the wrong tool set, you end up in a vicious circle where you get more and more technical debt, you get slower as you go along. Now, you may already be aware of Cloud IDE. That's available today, right now. And that is a very powerful tool that allows you to do everything you need to do from a code development standpoint directly in the cloud. Very fast, very safe, very easy. Everyone's on the same environment. It's in the cloud, so you don't have to worry about doing a lot of local setup. We also now have in beta right now today, Code Studio, which we're going to be focusing on primarily today. There is early access. We're going to be telling you a little bit at the end about how you can get involved in that if you'd like to, along with the timeline for when there's going to be limited availability for all of our customers. And spoiler, it's not that far off. And then finally, a really interesting and exciting feature that we have coming out into our platform is Cloud Actions. Cloud Actions is going to allow you to automate and customize the steps that are taking place when you actually do deployments in the cloud. We'll come back to that. But for now, let's go through those different stages that we talked about. We'll talk about what these look like. But at this point, I want to turn over to Emily, and she's going to talk about the planning stage of development.
Great, thanks, Ron. So planning is the first stage of our developer workflow. And you can see here that our suite of developer products will enable developers to plan, build, test, review, and deploy from a single cloud-based workflow. So developers need to plan their work before building begins. And Code Studio is going to come here, and it's going to include those issue management tools for you. So you can see here, you can assign these issues, you can coordinate with them with milestones, label them, and it's all really helpful. And then in the next view you see here, all of that comes together in a Kanban board.
And this first stage, you'll notice as we kind of go through this build, you'll see the cute little robot there. And as we go through, what you'll notice is where that little robot comes in is where Code Studio is going to help start to automate some of these things and do the things that computers are really good at to free up the people to do the things that they're really good at. Now, your planning is done and you know what you need to do. You've got coordination, you've got a process set up around that. So let's get into the actual work of build. And in the build stage, this is typically where the developer is going to come in and they're going to actually start to assemble the modules and the libraries and the code pieces and start writing custom code. Now, the great thing is that our platform is API based. So anything that you can do in the UI, you can do via the API as well. We've got all of the endpoints listed out. There's full documentation on this. And the cool thing is not only can you do it from the API, you can do it from the command line as well. Using Acquia CLI, which is built into Cloud IDE, you can access everything that you need to do. So the developers have multiple ways of interacting with the platform, which means that they can meet the platform where they choose to be. It also means that now they've got the tools to go in and start to build out their own processes for automation where they need to. So you're not locked into any particular process. You can customize this as much as you need. And you can see here the endpoints we have listed. Now, for those who may not know, hopefully most of you do, Cloud IDE is kind of the place where the developer is going to be doing most of their work. Now, Cloud IDE is it's a fungible development environment that's managed in the cloud. You can create it right from within the platform. You can jump in without ever even having to touch the command line if you don't want to. And it's going to provide a full environment here for you with code, what am I trying to say? Code syntax highlighting. It's going to have helpers. It's already set up for Drupal and JavaScript. It's got complete command line access to the IDE with all of the tools you need from Composer to Node to Drush. It's also got a database viewing tool so that you can actually go in if your developer needs to actually check out something in the database or try something, and they've got a visual tool that's going to help them do that. And all of this is packaged together with a preview environment. so that the developer can see what that's going to look like, and they can actually even share that preview environment out with other members of the team. Of course, once you have the build process done, then you get into the part where a lot of teams struggle and have difficulty. We all want to do CI/CD, but that's a really big challenge. So Emily is going to tell us about all the cool stuff that Code Studio is going to do to help you go even faster.
Exactly. Thanks, Ron. And so Code Studio is going to give developers all the ability to test everything in their code and give you that in that single configurable workflow. So we're providing you with Code Studio pipelines out of the box for CI/CD, and this is all Drupal optimized. So when you log into Code Studio, you're going to have these default builds enabled to activate your pipeline immediately. You could see that in the next slide here. So we're managing this build process for you, and it's all Drupal optimized. But a key part of this is that it is customizable. So if you have customization required for your builds and you want to incorporate that here, you have that ability to configure this as well. So we're owning and maintaining that, but at the same time, you can add any customization that you need as a part of the build process. And then, of course, in the next stage of the pipeline is that testing bit. So you see here that this testing pipeline has got optimized for Drupal applications. So there's testing coverage, code linting, PHP coding standards and security scans, deprecation scans, unit testing, and so much more. And this is all for you out of the box, specialized for Drupal.
And the powerful thing I love about this is that it's completely turnkey and easy to do. But then you can also customize it and do the things you want. So some teams might have or need additional requirements, or they might want to do things a very specific way, and they're not stopped from doing that. So my personal hope is that we're going to see all of our customers doing CI/CD and automated testing as just a default step in the entire process.
Exactly. And you can see in this test pipeline here, all of those built in for you.
We've got lots of arrows.
Great animation.
Yes.
Awesome. And so this is actually an output of some of those tests and security scans. So you get this vulnerability report so that you can look at a high level view, dependencies, vulnerabilities, any types of code quality. And you'll get a report here where it's going to show you line by line exactly where some of these vulnerabilities may exist in your files. And you'll get an exact location of where that vulnerability may exist so that it's much easier to immediately remediate. And it also shows you from critical to low or unknown what those vulnerabilities are on a scale. So you can act on which ones are the most critical immediately.
And this is, as a developer, tools like this are great. You can do this yourself. You can run those tests manually, which is fine, but having that just automatically built in, this leads you directly to amazing code quality because it's just so easy. And you see it on the list, you want to get it off the list. So you go fix the thing, and now suddenly your code's better than it would have been. Fantastic. So you can see here our helpful little robot is helping us with all of these stages. And then we get into the review phase. And the review phase is an important part of the process because we've gone our plan, we've built and written our code and assembled our code. We've gone through the testing. Hopefully we've got amazing code quality now because we're passing tests and we've patched up any potential vulnerabilities. So when it gets down to the review process, this is another place where Code Studio is going to help us by helping us manage those merge requests as they come in. So what you can see here is you can actually see a merge request that's here. You can see that the tests have been run and that they were successful. You can see you've got some permissions around who is actually authorized to approve the merge request. So you've got governance that's baked in here as well, along with all of the any comments that might be here in a full change log so that you can see exactly what's changed, where it's changed, and you can manage this process going in and merging your code in here. So you can see here we have one change. We can go back and forth with collaboration right in the tool and do the things that we need to do.
And I've specifically loved this feature because it's a great way to standardize your processes and ensure that you're really maintaining your value from start to finish of that workflow.
So now that we've gone through, we've planned out, we've done the build, we've done our test, we've got governance around the review of the code, pulling it all together. It's ready to finally take this thing home. And so that's where we get to the final step.
Awesome. So the ability to deploy all of this to Acquia Cloud. And what we have here, and then is Acquia, oh, here we go, deploy. So Acquia Cloud Actions is going to introduce the ability to fully automate that process of deploying new code to your cloud environments. And so you can see here that you're checking off all your boxes. So all you have to do is click a button to update and make sure that default best practices are built in here from this viewpoint so that you can make sure that you've got your, what was the word that I was looking for? The code and command line, no code, no command line, immediately deploy. All of these actions are happening for you right away. So you can customize this per your environment, or you can have it set so that it's the same for each of your deployments. And so it's a great way to do this automatically to Acquia Cloud.
And with this, we've had Cloud Actions available for a very long time. That was a code-driven process, and you can actually even inject your own custom actions in there so that you can actually truly customize this. The really powerful thing about this that I personally love is the fact that it makes it so much faster and easier to do it. You can visualize what those things are, you can see what they are, you can customize that, you can save it, and you can do that for every stage of your deployment, which is incredibly powerful.
Exactly. And here you can have the choice to back up your databases, clear your caches, and this is all within the Acquia Cloud user interface. So you can set those defaults, like Ron said, and customize it per environment if you'd like. And when you're ready, you just select those tags. So you choose the cloud actions that you want to execute, back up your database, clear your caches, and that's everything from, from that single configured workflow.
The nice thing is that after you have all of these pieces put together, it makes it much easier for you to do that moving forward. So this is all of those stages of, I apologize for the noise here. This is all of those stages that we go through, and you can see how Code Studio is actually providing a lot of stuff that's automated for each one. Cloud IDE is going to give your developer all the tools they need when they're doing their development. And even when you get down to the deployment stage, something that traditionally Acquia has been really, really good at, we've made that better as well by providing those cloud actions that are going to help you customize and automate those per stage and per project to do exactly what you want in exactly the right way. So now, how does that work? How does all that stuff fit together? Well, let's take a look at an example workflow and kind of see how that stuff goes along. Now, this is kind of a good overview to show you all of the different things that are happening as we talk about this. And we haven't specifically mentioned it, but the automated updates is on the roadmap for Code Studio to help kind of line things up. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up. But basically, you can see how all of these pieces flow together. And because we have all of this helping push us through, and you don't have to worry about tying the pieces together, you can be instantly productive on day one with any member of the team, whether it's a new project or an existing project. And so we can help guide through every single stage and get you through this so that your developers can be as maximally productive as possible. So we've got a couple of different journeys to look at. I'm going to take a look at journey number 1, and then Emily's going to take care of the number 2 and number 3. But for the first one, let's say that you're starting off on a completely new project. And so you need to start a Drupal site completely from scratch. So we're going to actually do this in just a couple of steps. So in the first step, we're actually going to go into Cloud IDE, and we're going to be able to use Composer to build out our code base, or we can even pull in from another existing code base somewhere, right? So we've got all of the options and tools that you would typically have. Now that we've got our code base done, we go into Code Studio, and you see that we're logging in, we're all still in the cloud, so this is all great. Once we get in here, we push that up, and now you can see that we actually have this code base is already put into Code Studio and ready to go. At this point, your code is actually going to be available to anyone that's working on the project that has access. And so the great thing is that you can see how in a very short amount of time, we can instantly be up and running, and we can have the entire team ready to collaborate with us. So Emily, you want to talk about the second phase?
Absolutely. So this is a user journey for making a change to your Drupal application here. So we've got 4 easy steps, and I'll walk you through each of these. So one of those great features that we talked about earlier is the ability to plan and issue management. So here you can see on Code Studio, this is an issue that was created to add a Drupal module. And we are able to do this from a Cloud IDE using Composer and ACLI. And so we've assigned this to myself. And from here, I can comment, I can review and execute the merge request from this issue management view where we wanted to add that module. And then in the next step, we're going back to our Cloud IDE here. So in the terminal, we have pushed the command to add that module. So we're going to make a new branch. We are going to run Composer in the IDE here and commit those changes and push them to Code Studio directly from the IDE here. And a super cool feature of Code Studio is that it's going to return some messages into the IDE terminal to let you know, hey, this is where your merge request exists. And it'll provide you with the direct URL to get there to go ahead and create that merge request.
Yeah, that's super powerful. The having those things right where you live, so you don't have to go look for it.
Exactly.
Really, really nice stuff.
Really great. And then there it is. So you can see from what we did in the IDE to push this to Code Studio, it has created a branch for that coffee module. And so we can go ahead and continue the workflow from here to make those changes to add that module to our Drupal application, all from Code Studio.
Super powerful.
And then, yeah. And then this is another user journey. So we want to take a look at how are we deploying this and what's going on in those steps. So the auto DevOps is that build file that we have in there for the Drupal optimized CI/CD that we were looking at earlier. And so when a commit is made to any branch, the pipeline is automatically going to trigger with that Drupal optimized CI. And so that is going to enable us to pre-configure the CI file for Drupal so that you can log in to do all of that building. And in the next view, we're going to see that we've made a commit and the pipeline has been automatically triggered. So we want to take a look at what that job is actually doing. And you can see here that Composer is adding and it's installing all of our dependencies automatically. It includes command line interface installation and validation. All the dependencies are added here and cached to be used across the pipeline. And you can see in this log here of this job that all the dependencies here have been added. And you can review this or move on to the next job, which is the testing bit. So this is also automatically executed on the pipeline to validate your code. And you can see that it's performing code linting, code validation of your PHP and your YAML files. And all of that will go forward into the deploy step. So now that the test succeeded, we're able to deploy our job and it's going to execute to Acquia Cloud. So down there in the task log, you can see that our commit from Code Studio powered by GitLab has been pushed to Acquia Cloud.
Nice. Having all of that stuff done and working for you right out of the gate, super, super powerful.
Yeah.
I think that's going to really, really be helpful.
Exactly.
So now that we've kind of seen what the tool is and all the pieces, how it helps you with every stage in the developer lifecycle, we've seen some examples there. Checking my notes here, I kind of feel like we never actually had to leave the platform. Is that right, Emily?
I'd say that that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the whole goal, right? We want to make sure that we provide the full set of tools from ideation all the way through deployment. We give you and your team everything you need. We're taking the best of what's available out there, optimizing it for our customers, for our platform, for Drupal itself, and really making this whole process super, super fast. And so at the end of the day, the net result is that you get to move more quickly, you have better code, you're doing best practices, all of those things that organizations know that they want to do, that they either spend the time doing or never quite get to because there's never enough time. We've done all the hard work for you, so you can just get down to having fun.
exactly.
So folks, we've talked about this stuff. This is very interesting. There's probably going to be some people here who are like, hey, yeah, that's like really cool. I'd like to learn more. I'd like to get involved with that. What would you say for those folks, Emily?
That we have some really good news. So we're going to be launching Code Studio at the end of February. It is really, really exciting. We already have our beta out there right now. Users are testing it, and then we're going to launch at the end of February so that any customer that wants access to this can get it.
So just a quick question on that. So it says that it's open to all customers, but it's still limited availability. There's some limits. What would
Yes.
be like, how would somebody know whether or not this was going to be good for them?
Sure. So some limits mean that it's fully stable, and any limitations to this product don't exist in the functionality. It's more about what customers need in terms of a more high-level view. But this is all available. All the features we walked through, all will be available in February. There are some compliances that we're working through, and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, if a customer has some very strict compliance regulations, like say FedRAMP or something, they would need to check and see if that was something that they could do. But otherwise, for most of our average customers, starting by the end of February, they can get involved and start using it right out of the gate.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Well, for those of you that are interested and that want to learn more, definitely reach out to your account manager. They're going to have information there for you. They can actually also direct you to anything you might want to start looking at or doing to get ready, making sure that you're on the list so that you can get in there as quickly as possible. And then, of course, at any point in time, feel free to reach out and you can get in touch with myself or Emily. If you don't know how, your account manager will do so. We'd love to answer any other questions or help you in any way that we can. So
Yeah.
at this point, is there anything you want to add before we go to Q&A?
Nothing to add. I'm ready to give you some questions that we can answer, Ron.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Well, it looks like we got a couple of questions here.
Mhm.
Do you want to take the first one? Looks like you've tagged that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So assuming it'll support multi-site out of the gate, and your assumption is correct. So yes, that will be supported. And then the next question is, will the CI/CD logging automatically start feeding our log forwarding setup?
That is a good question. I would need to check into that, but basically this is just going to be augmenting the default process that's there. So anything that you already have is in terms of like any logging that you're doing in your normal setup is going to be there. Whether or not the logging that takes place in CI/CD, we'll need to check on that and circle back and see what that looks like.
Absolutely.
And then there's also a question about Cloud IDE pricing for more than the default that comes to the subscription. Will that change to support adoption of the 100% cloud? And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Emily, but I believe that the Cloud IDE and Code Studio kind of licenses are going to be bundled together by default, so that as you expand your team and your needs, you'll get access to both of those. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct. Yes. Cloud IDE and Code Studio will come together bundled. And it'll be exactly what you said, supporting the adoption of that 100% cloud. So that is exactly what we want to enable here.
Fantastic. Other questions? Oh, looks like we've got another one here. Sorry about that.
No worries. So is Cloud Actions a feature of Code Studio, or is it a separate product within the cloud platform? And that's a great question. They are separate products, as in Cloud Actions lives within the cloud platform and is configured through the user interface of Acquia Cloud. And so Code Studio is a separate product that you can enable through Acquia Cloud for your use. And Cloud Actions will be there for everybody to use within the platform.
Yes, yeah, the Cloud Actions is just part of the platform and an augmentation. We've got all these different pieces though. So one of the things that we're looking at is an easier way to kind of speak to it with all these pieces. So what you'll probably see is us talk a lot more about Code Studio and our developer tools as a package, even though there are different pieces that come to different places, just to make it easier. But at any point in time, we can always get into the specifics of what comes with your basic subscription versus what you might want to extend or add on to it. Other questions that we have? I think we're good for now. So if there are no other questions, I think we can close out. Just a reminder, reach out to your account manager if there's anything you need. Keep an eye out. We're going to be releasing more information, some videos, some other great stuff. So get excited. Make sure your developer team knows that we've got these tools coming and that they're ready to take their development to the next level.
Great. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Ron. And thank you again, everyone, for attending and participating in this webinar. Again, as a reminder, this recording will be sent to you via email within the next 2 days. Thanks again and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.